There's nothing rock and roll about waking up at 7 a.m. every day, trying to capture a ghost inside your head. A ghost that wouldn't let you sleep the night before, because you're afraid that if you fall asleep, it will all go away. Days become nights, nights become days. You don't remember if the sun is coming up or if the sun is going down, but you're still chasing. Then you realize that you don't remember if the ghost is chasing you or if you are chasing the ghost. Most importantly, you realize that it doesn't matter. You search and search for this ghost through bright flashes and dull, low hums. The sounds first intrigue you, and then they repulse you. One side hits a powerful chord that resonates every bit of your existence, and as soon as you feel the warmth, the other side accepts that chord for a mere moment, and then rejects it with an even more powerful chord of discourse. Like two rams butting heads on an isolated plane of existence, in such a remote area that it can only be described as the gray. You must fight through the gray to get where the light comes back into focus, and only there can you color in laser-sharp focus. You walk a razor-thin line trying to navigate this unnamed road, and it starts to resemble the ghost you were initially chasing. You try to find that path, you search and search, try to find the path beyond the gray. The ghost turned its back on you years ago, and you relented it, and it went away. And when you blinked, it moved through you and onto someone else. Like an echo in the night, it was gone. It was gone, baby, gone. And all that's left is you, the path, the gray, and a memory of what was. You are reminded that the good times always seem so much more in focus. And damn it, Tom Petty was right when he sang that line. And with total certainty, you realize that the ghost is you. And with even more certainty, you realize that it was all just bad frequencies. It was all just bad frequencies. Bad frequencies.
I moved to Ohio in the year 2000. I'm originally from West Virginia.
I grew up in sunny Vandalia, Ohio, which is about, 4 or 5 miles north of Dayton.
Every time I tell this story, people kind of laugh because I really wanted to be a musician. I started playing guitar a little bit later than most people would and just fell in love with it. And West Virginia is a small state, small music community. So one of my friends was moving to Dayton, Ohio, who I happened to been playing music with at the time. He was like, why don't you come with me? And I was like, fuck it, what's in Dayton, Ohio?
I've always lived around here my whole life. I've lived in Dayton proper since I moved out from home when I was young.
He showed me some of the bands, showed me the Breeders, who I'd heard of before, and Guided by Voices, and just kind of showed me the music scene and some pictures of venues and stuff like that. We were so limited back where we were from in a small town in West Virginia called St. Mary's that I just loved the adventure of it. So it's really funny to tell people, most people are like, yeah man, I had the dream of being a rock and roll guy, so I packed everything up and moved to LA and lived on the Sunset Strip and I tried to figure it out. Well, my Sunset Strip was the Oregon District in Dayton, Ohio, a little tiny area, but it was a much larger music scene than I was used to. So I moved up here. I've lived here ever since, and I stay because I genuinely enjoy it.
The reason I've stayed in Ohio after all these years, it's to be honest, it's very cheap to live here, which is a nice touch, especially when you're gone most of the time. Whether I had a palatial mansion or not, I'm pretty much living in a van at this point.
People in this area are really nice. They've been welcoming from day one. All the people in the music scene as well, I could still be considered an outsider, but everybody's always been super cool. There's a lot of great bands from here, some cool venues to play, and now this is kind of where my family is rooted.
My son's here. He's pushing 17, but I can't move him away from his mother, like school. I don't want to disrupt like his life for my, I don't know, I shouldn't even say happiness because I'm not unhappy by any means, but the winters are grueling and I'm sick of them. So my son's like the biggest component of that, more than likely, but also I get to travel a lot, so coming back home is never like depressing because I know I'm always leaving. But yeah, I mean, Dayton's home, but I'm hoping that one day it won't be. But time will tell. I don't know if I would have even stayed here had I not had my son, because I was already living in other parts of the country, and then I came back, and then once I had him, I was kind of not forced to stay, but I had to make that decision to stay for him.
It doesn't really matter where your home is because our home's kind of on the road, but I've just stayed here. My family's here. I grew up about 45 minutes south of Dayton, so right in between Dayton and Cincinnati. And now I live in Dayton. Yeah, it's a fine place to be. The weather is surprising at every moment of every day. It might snow, and then it might be 75 at the next hour. So it's just it's definitely weird when it comes to that stuff, but home is home, I guess.
I love it here. I like that we get to travel so much and kind of see the whole world. And we have talked, various members of the band, and myself included, have talked over the years about moving away and moving out west or to a bigger city. I've just got a lot of friends, and a lot of my family, and my wife's family is from Ohio too. And it's cheap to live here. And I don't know, I just kind of like where Dayton's located. Like it's not specifically if we're leaving for tour. We always talk about how it's kind of a good location to kind of head to Chicago, New York, out east, down south. The West Coast isn't so close, but yeah, the only thing that's kind of a drag is the weather. It's kind of all over the place all the time, but we're used to it by now.
Obviously, all these guys in my band, they have no association with me growing up. Everybody always asks if we went to high school together or something. Like, I didn't know any of these people until probably 2001 or something like that. So we've all kind of been brought together for one reason or another. But we stay here because we just like the area. It's also way more affordable than New York, LA, Chicago, places like that. And we see those places a lot, and they're incredible, some of my favorite cities in the world. But most importantly, this does keep us close to family. And if we're going to be gone months and months out of the year, when you get home, it really doesn't matter where home is, as long as the people that are there, that's the main reason. As long as the people that you can come back to, you enjoy and you love. So, me personally, I've thought about moving from Ohio a couple times, and the thing that has kept me here has been basically family. All my friends, you can carry on a band. We have a lot of friends in bands that live in different cities scattered across the United States. There's airplanes, there's the internet, all that stuff. You can communicate, you can do whatever you need to maintain your band, but you can't maintain your family like that. So my wife's family is from around here, and we stay around here so we can continue to maintain that relationship, but also I have a daughter, and we want her to grow up around her family as well. It would be a little bit selfish to make somebody pack up and leave just because I want to be closer to like where the music is made or something like that. But eventually we will get out of here because weather. Like when you get older and you get older, like the cold is just, it's so annoying. It's so much more annoying, which is one of the reasons that like we always are talking about the summer, and why a lot of these songs are rooted in summer is because we want to get out of here. Right now it's, you know, probably 30 degrees outside. While we were making most of this record, it was sometime in negative temperatures. So that's the one thing that will kick me out of Ohio. But there's a lot of things that will keep me here.
Hold on, my arm's twisted. I gotta.
Well, I guess I should let the cat out of the bag. It's day one in the studio. I had already tracked like 5 songs previous in another session, but I just finished 12 songs today in like 7 hours. I don't know if that's good or bad. I was prepared, so maybe that's why it didn't take so long. I played through each song 3 or 4 times, whatever, 2 or 3 times, and but I'm done. So day one, and drums for the album are totally finished. Probably do some percussion later, but yeah, I'm actually just now getting warmed up. So if I had like another 5 songs to play, I think I could probably do it. But yeah, this room was really great to play in, and I think that made it super easy. And the songs, like I said, I'm playing a Hawthorne Heights song in my style of drumming, so maybe that's why it was also a little bit more like I knew what I was going to do. So I'm stoked. A couple songs that I was like, oh, I don't know how I feel about that one. Like now I'm like, yeah, that's cool. It's got a good feel to it. So overall, like I'm super stoked. And I think tomorrow we'll start working on bass guitar, probably some vocals. So I'm super excited to hear like how these songs start to grow and build. And yeah, but I get to sit around and just fuck around for the next month, essentially.
So it's day one. We tracked 12 songs on drums in one day, which has never happened in my 10 years of recording. So I guess you could say Poppy's a good drummer. Tomorrow we're gonna mic up the cabs, get some good guitar tones going. Hopefully the guitars can stay in tune and not sound like shit. I've worked with them probably, I would say I worked with Hawthorne probably about 3-4 times now at this point. This is probably the first time that this is the first time we've done a full length together. I've always just done random singles or EPs with them, but this is the first full length with Hawthorne. I'm really excited. We're going all out on this one. You know, Poppy blew through, and I think we started at noon, and it's now 7:30, and he's already done 12 songs on drums. So, and we sampled the drums as well to get, you know, in case he messes up a little fill here and there, I can sprinkle it in there and not tell him that I had to do that. Little secrets. I'm definitely really excited about this record. I mean, I always love working with them. They're one of the easiest bands I work with, because when they come in, they're just so prepared. They have everything already pre-pro'd out. You know, it's very minimal work for me to have, you know, we don't have to go and do any rewrites or anything crazy, because, I mean, they know what they're doing. They're probably one of the easiest bands I've worked with. Tomorrow we're going to start guitars. We're going to get some tones, play with some pedals, do a lot of tuning. Hopefully we don't have to set any up. Hopefully Mark was prepared for that. Probably wasn't. But should be a good day. Should go well.
Riding. Down here, this is at Mark's house. This is the where we make almost all the demos, whether they're small ideas or, you know, kind of full band versions of what we're doing. We write in a lot of different ways because Matt, Mark, and I kind of all do things. And then we show Poppy. Poppy tries to lay down a killer beat, the song's done. A lot of things start off as like rough sketches. Me, I just sit with an acoustic guitar most of the time, and I like to write lyrics and melodies while I'm writing the chord structures and stuff like that, so it starts to paint a little bit more of a picture. Some of the other guys can just send a riff over or something like that, but we all do it in a lot of different ways, and then, you know, we kind of do that based on our email and phones and stuff like that, and then we come down here to Mark's house.
Yeah.
and it's a lot of Star Wars themed and stuff, but it has everything we need it to do. Most important for us, I think, is to be able to stay in Dayton where we're all close together, so we can be like, like a lot of times I'll call Mark and I'll say, hey, I'm kind of in the area and I can lay these vocals down if you're around. So I'll just, pop on over and do that. Or, if we need to lay the bass down, Matt and Mark live really close together, so he can kind of come over here and I don't even need to be here. For the most part, we track the drums electronically down here because it's easier.
It's easier to capture and easier to edit because we made a lot of changes on the fly. So.
Yeah. But, Poppy gets to hear all that stuff and then say, that sounds too robotic, or some weird comment like that. And of course it is. It's an electronic drummer. But he gets to make it his own and everything. What we like to do is we like to sketch out the entire song in a very broad stroke and then start to make it exactly what we're hearing in each other's heads. The hardest part of our process is trying to articulate to one another how good a song can be, but you're only showing them such a light, minimal idea. But you hear it in your head like this grand, fully finished song, and some of the other guys they don't get it. They don't understand it, so it's really on you to articulate it and to show them what you mean. Back in the day, I remember for Hawthorne Heights, that was the hardest part of our recording process and our demoing process and our writing process, was just being total idea killers for one another. If one of the guys didn't like one of the parts from the get-go, the song could be killed right then and there, because you get bummed that somebody doesn't like your part, or somebody is not really hearing it the same way you are. But we've gotten better about letting people realize the entire part. And then at the end of the song, when we're done with it, if we don't like it and it doesn't make it, that's fine. Because there's four of us and we all have to decide whether it makes it or not. But we realize that it's better to just get those noises out of somebody's head so that way there's no arguments about hypothetical situations. Those really get you into trouble.
Yeah, and this has kind of allowed us to do it efficiently and quickly, and not worry about we need to cut ideas early because we're pushed for time or we're on a studio clock. So we just need to filter into the ideas that at that moment we think are the best. So this has really allowed us just to come at it with as many songs as possible and elaborate on as many ideas and then go from there.
Yeah, it was really important to really hone in on our pre-production, because we had just gotten off an extremely long tour and we didn't want to go back to let's say fly to New York or LA or something like that to cut an entire record over the course of 5 or 6 weeks. We wanted to do all of our homework here and really hone in on the album and what would eventually become Bad Frequencies. We wanted to really paint the best picture we possibly could and then record an incredible version of that.
Yeah.
So we demoed every single song. Some of them we demoed multiple times. We were editing always, what if we cut that chorus down, or what if we added this here? Let's change the drum beat there. What if we cut down the guitar and it's just Matt playing bass and me singing? We did a lot of different things to all these songs to change their structures to make them exactly how we wanted them. And if you're doing that in the studio on a studio clock using a budget, you're going to run out of time. We will always run out of time. So we had every song on this record fully demoed, from drums to bass to rhythm guitar, a bunch of different lead options, all the lead vocals, all the harmonies, everything was done. And then
we listen back, and try to figure out what we loved and what we didn't like and what we thought could be better. And that's what we worked on in the studio when we tracked it with Nick Ingram in Columbus. So we spent a lot of hours just in this little tiny area.
Yeah.
But it's got everything we need. You know, it's got all these guitars, got the keyboard if we need it, nice vocal mic, all of our pedals, and you know, it's a really laid back scenario. So that to us is really important. After all these years, it's really important to be comfortable and to be able to set your clock from 9 to 5 and just come down here and work on songs and work on a record like anybody else would go to the office and work on what they're working on. And then at the end of the day, we can turn it off and, you know, go to our families or just take a little mental rest and hit it again the next day.
For the guitars on this record, I really wanted to go for like a thick tone, but not necessarily like cliche heavy.
For guitars to me are always, it's kind of like a fight.
I think we get kind of referred to as like a heavier band. People think we're heavier than we actually are.
We are not a heavy band, but people for some reason have the nostalgia in their brain that like when we came out, we were a heavy band. So we get a lot of the, how come you don't scream anymore? Well, we do scream, and we have on every album. You just remember that we screamed more than we actually did.
So for me, it was important to try to capture some tones that were thick without just sounding like scooped mid-range or anything like that. As far as the rhythm guitars,
Our guitars are tuned to E flat. That's as heaviest as we've gotten. We used to tune to E standard. That's only going to get you so heavy to begin with. So there's a lot of other bands out there that like play kind of a similar style of music, and they do it in a heavier way. And I think maybe they're thinking of them or something, because our stuff is like, I don't know, it's pretty, we don't turn the gain up a whole lot. We prefer to make it, I guess, more classic sounding, more like a British distortion than like a modern American distortion.
for the leads and some of that kind of stuff, I think all of us in the band are songwriters, and everyone brought a lot of ideas for that kind of stuff to the table. And I think we were all kind of on the same page that it was less about trying to be a shredder and more about trying to bring something to the table that would lift the song where it needed to be. So like a lot of the choruses on the songs, when the guitar pops in, it's less of something that's fighting with the vocals as far as the lead melody and more of something that's kind of textural and fun. And sometimes the funnest parts aren't necessarily hard to play. So that's something as a player over the years that I've learned, is you strive to get better, and you reach a spot where I wouldn't say any of us in the band are like guitar virtuosos or anything, but we've all gotten to the point where we're very good at what we do, and you get to a spot where you realize, like, I'm not trying to write things that are hard or proficiently challenging. I'm trying to write things that fit the song. And sometimes what I've learned is those are really fun. Some of the easier stuff. One of the effects that we were really trying to achieve was just kind of like a low pulse droniness going through a lot of it, and we used a lot of delays and things like that to achieve that, and that was kind of a first for us to explore on this record. We called it the shimmer.
One of the main things that we wanted to do when like working on this album and writing it was to try to get out of the cold weather inside our heads. And one idea that I came up with, and just based on some lyrics that I was writing, was to try to have an overall theme of the end of your favorite summer growing up. Whether that was you've been hanging out with your friends the entire summer, you weren't in school and you just had some wonderful times, or like maybe you were a kid who went to a summer camp or something like that. Maybe it was the one time that you got to drive across country and see like family members that lived on the other side. Anything like that. One of the best times you've ever had. I wanted to focus on when that time comes to the end, because that's such a tough thing to deal with, because your entire summer is built on this wonderful time. So you're just riding sky high, and then you wake up and it's over. You got to kind of figure out how to deal with that. So one of the things that we did
was we tried to create some sort of like, I guess like a pulsing tone or some sort of like cascading reverb or something like that that can kind of set an audio image inside your head that makes you think of summer. And we wanted it to sound like really like bright and shiny and shimmery. So every time we wanted to do this part on the record, whether it's starting a song or in a clean tone or something like that, we just referred to it as the shimmer.
Pacific coast, where dreams go to die, but we will die alone. So wipe the tears from your eyes and let's go.
I first figured out that the internet was an awful place in 2003 when we announced our first record deal publicly in a press release. I was so excited, ready to show the world what a tiny band from Dayton, Ohio could do. My eyes were wide open, and it was all smiles. Then I made a mistake, my first big mistake. I read the fucking comments. After a few hours of refreshing every 30 seconds, hoping for the best, but getting the anonymous worst, I was given some good advice. Turn the page and move on. These are all just bad frequencies, man. Just some noise to make you lose focus. Just static to make you get off track. All you have to do is listen to each other, get in the van, and put in the miles. If you drive far enough away, you will be able to search for honest opinions without any preconceived notions. You will be able to capture that lightning in a bottle and watch that lightning make people's eyes catch fire. And if you can make their eyes catch fire, maybe they will smile just for a little while. And that's why you do this. After 170 shows in 2017, we set out to capture those moments again. How do you turn a feeling into a song? How do you capture the vibrant colors of a well-taken picture and turn those colors into a song? How do you reach deep down into your bones and pull out the memories that make your heart flicker and tingle? How do you shield yourself from that negativity that can creep in and kill your progress? We are all just boats on an ocean, trying to hope for steady seas and a clear sky that will help us chase the horizon. And if you blink, you will miss it. You will wake up one morning and wonder how the years have flown by, and you will wish for anything that will allow you to make time stand still.
I'd say the hardest part about being in a band at this point, or in this band at this point, would be, for me personally, touring is definitely the hardest part. Being gone, all that stuff, I'm not a super big fan of it. I enjoy, as much as I enjoy the hour or whatever we play, that's how much I don't enjoy all the stuff that leads up to that. The driving until 3 or 4 in the morning, waking up at 9, doing the whole thing, eating terrible food just because it's the option, and then driving again. That is by far the hardest thing for me about being in a band.
One of the hardest things about being in a band this long is the balance of just this kind of being your work life and being gone so much with kind of responsibilities at home as you get older. I've been doing this since the Skeletons album cycle, so I think this is my 6th release that I've been involved with the band, and I think it's kind of gotten easier over time because we work really well together now, and we've just kind of learned how to work well with each other and kind of everyone's roles to make things work quickly and efficiently. And I think it's gotten harder over time because of just like I said, the added responsibilities. Like JT and Poppy both have kids, and Matt and I have wonderful dogs and cats, and we all have, all of us except for Poppy have wives at home, and it just makes it harder being gone as much as we still love to tour. But I think as far as writing and recording for this record, this might have been the easiest thing we've ever done in the studio, at least since I've been involved since 2010. And I kind of attribute that to being a band for so long and kind of learning what to do.
Trying to have a conference call, trying to get all four of us to actually be able to talk about something, because we're all always not together. I think that's kind of hard. Then the more people that you have involved in something, the more difficult it becomes to get everybody to discuss something at the same time and possibly come to some sort of agreement. It does get harder. Not that it's like a horrible thing, it's just that's the only really difficult thing about being in a band sometimes, is waiting for answers from different people, and you're in different parts of the country on different time zones. Becomes stressful when you have deadlines, or just things that have to be handled in a certain fashion.
It's definitely weird being in a band I think that we started our band in 2003, technically. It's been such a big part of all of our individual identities and our family's identities, because they have to deal with us being just gone all the time and all the peaks and valleys. One moment it feels like you're on top of the world, the next minute something awful happens, or having such high expectations for things because you record these songs and you write this music, and you just want people to love it as much as you do, and sometimes it happens and sometimes it doesn't, which can kind of put you in a bad mood, and you'll be on the road for 2 months at a time, and then you come home, and let's say that it was a bad winter, terrible tour where you've been freezing and stressed out because the drives are so bad, and then you come home and you have to assimilate back into your regular happy life where everything's cool, but really you're just still in kind of a bummer mood. So sometimes it takes you a couple of days to get settled back in. For me, that's the hardest part. The other guys are probably mentioning being gone and stuff like that too, because when you spend time with your friends and your family at home and everything becomes normal, and then you have to pack it all up and live out of a suitcase for such a long period of time, it disorients you. That's never easy. That's been the hardest thing after all these years. And you record a new album and you love the way it sounds, and you realize that this is essentially just going to take you away from all these people that you love, and you have to learn to live with that balance, and you have to make sure that the people that you love understand that balance as well. But it's still such an enjoyment because you get to go out, and we've seen some of these fans grow up with us. Some of these people have been with us for 13, 14 years, and you look forward to seeing them, and they become your friends on the road. And when you start to play new music in front of them and stuff, every once in a while you get to see the same light that you saw when you played your first album in front of them, and that's one thing that is still pretty special to me. So while it does come with a lot of sacrifice, every band will tell you that. Every band will tell you that the hardest thing is being on the road, and the best thing is being on the road, and to be able to balance that in your brain is hard sometimes. We finished our record, we're ready to hit it again, and it's going to take us a long, long way from home, and we're just going to continue to work on that balance of being gone, coming back home, being gone, coming back home, and and balance the expectation that we think that this album is one of the best things that we've ever done, and we hope that everybody feels the same way.
Guitar doesn't like, oh, that's not the same thing. Wild band.
Play.
Oh. Mr.
He's gonna get the bias thing set up so when he mixes up his other songs, the rhythms will match. Indirect, you know.
That's George Michael thing, right?
Annie Lennox.
Alright, here's what we gotta do.
Okay.
I've been vaping for years, way before they started adding milligrams of nicotine into it.
Hello? Man. How you're gonna do it?
Oh.
Yep.
Is that you?
Okay,
No,
we'll
that's
see.
Mark.
Do it again.
When I sat down to write the lyrics for Bad Frequencies, I didn't really have anything particular in mind early on. But I always keep a travel notebook with me on tour, because I tend to get inspired at weird times, and I'm a firm believer in capturing the moment immediately after it happens, before the memory becomes blurry. So I spent a lot of time sifting back through these lyrics, line by line, till I gather the stuff that I really love, and discard the stuff that doesn't really make much sense for the project I'm working on. The term diamonds in the rough applies here. There's always going to be a lot of rough, and very few diamonds, but I write them down anyway. I very rarely write full songs of lyrics, because to me, the cadence of the phrasing is just as important as what you are saying. And I don't want to reach for lyrics until I understand the pattern. When I have the pattern, I fit them to the music. I found that this process keeps me working on lyrics at all times, not just when we need them. The truth is that if you want to be a songwriter, you're always going to need the lyrics. I write a lot of awful stuff down. But the point is to always keep writing. Sometimes the bad lyrics will help start you on a path to where you don't want to be, and a good set of lyrics can help you correct your course. You just have to remember to always stay on the path. Don't lose focus. Keep the good lyrics. Get rid of the bad ones. Most importantly, find the ones that make you feel something.
Now it's getting hard to pray.
Okay, so
Okay. Can we do the end? Is it the street lights sing me fast asleep?
hey,
What's the words?
street lights sing, but the flashlights won't bring you home.
The
street lights sing, but the flashlights won't bring you home.
Hey!
Talk, 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 talk. Talk, 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 talk.
He likes it.
I do.
I like how Nick is not reacting to it whatsoever.
Nothing.
I like how after every take, everybody gets done and then they go. Eventually, it's just gonna be us like this.
But for a singing,
The street lights sing, but the flashlights won't bring you home.
The mic's not on.
The street. That one's hard to. The street. That's low.
should we try and sing a higher register of it or something? What do you think,
It's gonna be
Nick?
high.
The street lights sing, but the flashlights won't bring you home.
The street.
Should we do
the street?
I can't go up that high.
No, you're supposed to stay low.
Yeah, I will.
I'll stay low too.
The street lights sing, but the flashlights won't bring you home.
I think I'm doing the harmony now. I don't think I'm up with it.
Whatever we just did sounded good.
Yeah, it sounded good.
Alright, switch amps.
Sounds like it, man. Nicely done.
See how it sounds up? Can you move it up an octave?
I
Just see
almost
what
don't like it on the second. I like it on the one and three.
Follow me over, too many options, no control. This reaction, I felt an equation, in the moment we were together. Follow me over, too many options, no control.
I solo with
So that, try taking out of the second one.
I think it should go up an octave too.
Like some sort of background line in between the two.
Or even like a fucking like pick slide or something.
We do a slide down.
Like something like that.
The guitars go. I could bring that up more.
Yeah.
When I mix it.
This is a ZVEX Fuzz Factory. We use this all over our EP Hurt, and we're gonna show you how we're gonna make shit weird on this song, right?
Just one more bad frequency, baby.
Oh yeah.
Noise. Eight.
Yeah. Dude,
It's just recording.
Play with the song, because I want to do that.
Oh,
thing down with it.
I mean, it's just recording.
You have to cut that out.
Didn't quite do it, did it?
It didn't do as much of the high end stuff. Can you play it? That's pretty badass. Can you play it? Because it'll do more. It'll like resonate if you actually put your fingers. You know what I mean?
Like that?
Yeah. But don't hit.
It's one of our secret weapons, Electric Faustus drum thing mini. It's one of the things we're getting our bad frequencies on with. Only way to really get this is the luck of the Nevada Quarter. One of our favorite places to be. We'll always have a lot of luck there. So, let's fucking give it a shot. Stop eating those Kroger chips. Damn.
Right?
Oh, I'm ready. Wipe them on your pants.
Get like a really fast one. Like DJ Super.
Yeah, like I'm fucking.
Woo! Okay.
Yeah, now I can. Here, why, try and track one more, and I'm just gonna start doing that, and then just get a loop of it. How do you fucking get off my back, man? I'm just trying to make a rock and roll record. Oh man, I'm getting this thing dirty because of the fucking quarter. Like hanging out in my pocket. Ah, wipes away.
first 10 minutes in that chair and you're filming a documentary?
Of the bad frequencies, man.
The tit lights. Move on, boys.
Move on, boys.
Been on the song since 11. Was the only thing invented when the Beach Boys were a band, or was that just recording?
Nah, it's just how it sounded.
Yeah.
Go back to it. Go back to the Where Were You, and I'll show you what the Beach Boys is. They have that one guy going with the highest voice you've ever heard.
Probably.
That's what they would have done. Something. Now, I'm not saying we should, but that's what they would have done. Where were you? That sounds like Where Were You? That's kind of cool. But you can't go up that early. It'd have to be on that one, of course.
Tug likes it.
Or
Some rubbish.
if it, play it one more time. Wait. It could start a little bit later. It doesn't have to be during the climb as long as we're climbing into something else.
If you, devil's advocate, if you move with the, it's going to take away from the whoa. It just is.
Yeah.
So I feel like the safest thing to do would be hold out a note just to create this.
I say give it a shot.
Go bust a high note after a burger and a drink of beer.
Oh yeah, I'd say bring the beer in there.
So what, you guys had burgers and didn't tell me?
I did. I had a burger.
Where did you
He
get
had
that
a
burger
Wendy's
from?
from he got a burger from a Pilot or a Love's. Or
Never mind.
At
I'm jealous.
At 10:15 in the morning.
Here's the difference. I get up at roughly 10 every day. If I eat a burger at noon, it's completely normal. I got up at 8 today and had a burger at 10:15.
Backwards math.
Tell me what's different.
The
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Just because society says eat omelets at 10 doesn't mean.
Go, whoa.
I should probably take- But I'm gonna have to sing the same note JT is singing to get up to it. It's 2 beats. It's 2 beats. Where were you? Where were you?
This is the vocal booth. As you can tell, I like to tape the lyrics up. I like to always see everything in front of me. These are Mark's headphones. We went through 4 pairs of headphones, all Nick Ingram's, and I hated every last one of them. Nick, I hate your headphones, every last one of them. And I like to have my mix extremely loud, not because I'm deaf, but because I like to feel it. I like to vibe, and Nick gets mad at me because of that, because you can hear the click and shit like that, and I'm always fighting with him and yelling at him about the volume. But yeah, so once the lyrics are finalized, I like to handwrite them. A lot of people like to print them out. That's, I guess, a technologically savvy way to do it, but I still like to handwrite everything, and I can read my own handwriting. This painter's tape that we chose does not fucking stick. So I spend half the time sitting there touching these because I'm like OCD about it. Nick would not allow me to take a staple gun in here and staple these to these dampeners, which is bullshit because we've rented the studio. So I figure we should be able to do what we want. I didn't hang any scarves on here like Steven Tyler does or anything, but as you can see, I kind of have it tilted up, and I like to sing upwards instead of outwards, which is a little bit strange. Yeah, so these are all the songs that we sang. I leave them taped up also so Mark and Matt can be looking through them, and it's easy for them to see. They like their headphones mixes drastically lower than mine because they have no vibe. They like to just sing with it sounding like a CD, but I like it to be cranked to the max.
I will say that Nick has improved his vocal booth a lot. He's given it this rustic log cabin feel. Very modern, very Pinterest of him. It's looking cool. He's doing the thing. He's got the cable ties. He's got everything up. But we had a good time in here. It sounds really good. Looks like we're singing with the Neumann microphone. Mark's AKG headphones were the game changer. And we're about done. This is the vocal booth. I don't know if you guys know what any of this stuff does. That's supposed to dampen stuff. This is supposed to dampen stuff. But I think the human voice sounds terrible, so there's not a whole lot you can do about it, except trying to get a good performance that has a cool feel to it. Otherwise, it's not super interesting, but this was my home for, I don't know, 9 days. I typically like to sing 1 or 2 songs a day, preferably at 5 o'clock and 8 o'clock or something like that, so your voice doesn't get too fried out. When we recorded the Silence in Black and White, nobody knew what they were doing at all, but I think we had 11 or 12 songs on that record, and we saved all the vocals for last, which is the worst possible thing you could do, because everything's done and all the pressure is on you, and your throat and your voice can only last so long every day, so you're pretty much wasting time. And then the last couple songs on the record always sound a little bit fried and blown out because you've been screaming and singing your ass off all day long. So really, we learned a while ago that you should just try to catch up on the music and then sing every possible time that you can, so that way you're not overextending yourself.
With this record, I'm really proud of it sounds like a Hawthorne Heights record, but we've definitely kind of branched out a little bit, and I kind of attribute that to how hard we worked on the pre-production and had some time. I don't know where we found the time last year because we played so many shows, but we spent a lot of time working on the songs. But I think we kind of elaborated on some directions that we haven't fully explored in the past, like the title track, Bad Frequencies, I think turned out really cool. So I'm hoping with this record that our core group of fans will enjoy it, but also that we might surprise some people that have kind of, after being a band so long, they have a certain thing they think we sound like, and that's it. And if it's not their thing, they don't really give it a chance, I guess. So I think there's some stuff on this that might surprise a lot of people.
I mean, hopefully we're reaching a new audience. That's probably the biggest thing. Like, I want new people to find out about the band. I want people to be rekindled with the band and know that throughout all this time, we never stopped touring. The band never broke up. The band has been moving like a machine for years. I just think a lot of people don't realize that. So hopefully with this new album, we have some new fans, bringing new people in, and hopefully we get to go to a few new places. I know there's quite a few countries the band's never been. I think we'll be at all 50 states at the end of the year, or maybe even earlier, I don't know. But there's a few countries that I'd like to go to. I don't really think a lot of South America stuff has been done, if ever, with the band, not with me for sure. I'd like to go to Alaska, so I'm just hoping that the record gets to take us to new places, as well as bringing in some new fans.
With this new record, I'm really hoping it brings us to some new places that we haven't seen before. We've toured a long time, seen a lot of things 5, 6, 7 times. We have our restaurants in every city and stuff like that. It's fun to go somewhere you've never been, try something that you've never tried when it comes to food or whatever it may be, and just see what the local area is. So I hope that this record brings us more new things like that. And that being said, the record itself, I hope that it shows what we can do. We didn't try to sound like our old stuff or try to reinvent this new sound or anything. We just kind of recorded and played what we felt and what we wanted to, and then saw where it took us. And I think it'll surprise some people, but a lot of people will think it sounds like us, and a lot of people will think it sounds completely different. And that's exciting just to see a reaction. At this point, we're so deep in it that we know what it sounds like, so it's not. It sounds like us to us. So I'm curious to see what people think on first listen, how it makes them feel.
I try not to keep track of like numbers, stats, and stuff like that. Like, we've put out many records. We've been putting out music since 2004. So what can you say now? You know, like, what are you trying to accomplish that you haven't already accomplished? A lot of smaller goals. The music industry has obviously changed year after year after year after year. So while everybody wants to, like, I don't know, sell a Def Leppard amount of records, or like, you know, a Michael Jackson amount of records, but that's not really what people focus on anymore. You focus on trying to put out great music and trying to maintain your fan base and try to win new people over. You know, when you're a band that's been a band forever, a lot of people have preconceived notions about you. They either immediately love what you put out, or some people immediately hate what you put out, and they haven't even heard it, and maybe they haven't liked past stuff that you've done, or, you know, your fan base, maybe they're like expecting something, and if you don't give it to them, maybe they leave. So those are the hardest things to try and juggle and navigate. But really, when we sit down and we start to write the record, we just try to write a Hawthorne Heights record, and sometimes it comes out heavier, sometimes it comes out happier, but we always think they sound like Hawthorne Heights records. This is our first full length in a while, though. We haven't put one out in a few years, probably 3 or 4 years. So I'm interested to see the reaction between a full length and putting out your own EPs, which was a thing we had a lot of fun doing. As far as expectations, like I said, we just want these songs to be, I guess, looked at, highly regarded like we think they are. We think they're some of the best songs that we've worked on. We're really happy with them. One thing that we learned is you're never going to be able to change nostalgia, because nostalgia is a wonderful feeling. The first time that you heard a band is always going to be the best time that you heard a band, because everything was so new and so fresh and so vibrant. So we try to capture that. You know, we try to make this album feel like that youthful energy. And I hope that it can continue to take us down the road, to take us to places that we've never been, and to take us to some of our favorite places. I hope when we release this record that our fans will immediately love it, and we'll be able to see those people singing along on a tour. I hope that some people that have hated Hawthorne Heights in the past, I hope that they hear a song and are like, man, I had no idea that this band actually sounded like that. A lot of people on the internet just don't like things for the sake of not liking them. So I hope that we can change maybe some misconceived notions. But most importantly, I think that we're all happy with it, and I think that is really what matters. We're all on board, we all helped write it, and we're all ready for this adventure to begin.
After searching through a year's worth of writing, the picture started to come a little more in focus. Started to notice that all the small details in life matter. What makes you think of the best times in your life, and at the same time, what makes you think of the worst times in your life? Where's the balance between the nostalgia of youth and the cold, bitter reality of regret? I found that both are necessary, and both can be driving factors while creating art. Both can drive you and derail you at the same time, and that balance is often hard to find. It all came into focus when we were waiting behind the stage in Pomona, California, before playing the last set of the day, which would also be the last set of the entire summer on the Vans Warped Tour. Some of the best days of our lives happened that summer. The bright orange and mellow pink of the sun, as it started to take its slumber behind the clouds, it really stuck out to me as powerful that day. The way the outline of the palm trees started to blur out and fray into the haze. It will stay with me forever. It looked like a shirt from a beach town in the 80s or something. And then I realized that I always loved this time period in my life, I guess. I don't want these days to ever die. And as the sun went down behind that stage, I typed a few lyrics into my phone, then walked up the ramp, put my phone down, and played a show that was one of the most energetic shows of our career. The sun was gone now. And somehow, I hope those good frequencies are still bouncing around somewhere off the mountains in the distance of Pomona, California. And I hope they stay there forever. And as we loaded everything up after one hell of a summer, I felt the theme of what will become our new record start to develop and resonate. I realized exactly what I wanted to capture on a lyrical level, on a sonic level, and even on an emotional level. I wanted to create songs that captured the feeling of when your favorite summer comes to an end. You've had all the fun that you can have. Everything was as bright and sunny as it could be, but now it's over. You have to reconcile the way something starts and finishes, the beginnings and endings. Everything starts with the best intentions, but sometimes ends under unfortunate circumstances. These are good frequencies, and then there's bad frequencies. There's good static, and there's bad static. It's really just a matter of what you want to focus on. And seeing those first negative comments back in 2003, I've chosen to write about the bad frequencies and focus on the good frequencies. The bad times don't really matter. If you allow negativity to dictate your mood, you will all be miserable. For some reason, it's human nature for some people to pick you apart. You can't let that affect your happiness, because it is the outside forces that you can tune out. And that's all you have to do. Tune out the bad frequencies, man. Tune them out.